Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2002 Mercedes S430. Up front is a 4.3 liter V8 and down below is a 5-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this here S430 for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm always excited to bring more older Mercedes to the channel. This is an interesting era for Mercedes, the early 2000s. But the second reason is the fact that this is an S-Class, which means I know I'm going to be in the presence of luxury today. But before I get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers like this retro sticker pack I have available, and a big friggin' bottle sticker, both with free shipping. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 4.3 liter V8 under the hood. Well, I like it for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's an M113 engine, which 113 is my lucky number, so it's always nice to see that. But the second, more important reason is the fact that it's a very stout and reliable engine. It only makes about 275 horsepower, which isn't crazy. And yes, there was a V12 version of this car. However, that only made in the high 300s. Still nothing crazy, but it's nice and smooth. It's unbothered by moving this giant car, and that's what you want out of a luxury V8. And it's one of the reliable parts of this car, as we'll get into a little bit later on. Like I said, paired to it, 5-speed automatic transmission. However, with the facelift later on, they did come with 7 speeds. This is the 5-speed, and honestly, I don't really notice much. It's shifting gears, it's nice, smooth, and quiet, and that's all I can ask for from a car like this. This car is also rear-wheel drive. However, I do want to talk about the ride quality a little bit. It is superb. This car floats, it coasts, and seems rather unbothered by the terrible Illinois roads I'm on. Now, there's 2 reasons for that. First of all, the air suspension, but secondly, the wheels are 17-inch wheels, and they have thick sidewall tires on them. Sidewalls really matter. Now, S-Classes come with like 20-inch wheels, which look fantastic, but sort of compromise the ride a little bit. These are like floating on pillows, and actually the 430 originally came with 16-inch wheels. These wheels are off of an S600 V12 version, so they're a little bit bigger. Since we're talking about handling, let's talk about the air suspension itself. It fails a lot. The owner said that they have replaced the air suspension at all 4 corners at least twice, meaning it never fails altogether. It only will fail one wheel at a time. So this car has been brought into the shop at least 8 times to have the air suspension serviced. The air suspension is very problematic. However, it is kind of cool when it does work, and this one has it working currently. If you get out of the driver's side, it will lean to the driver's side a little bit to make it easier. When you park the car, it'll settle in and lower a little bit. The only time you should be worried is if you come out into your driveway and your car is taking a knee. No, it is not making a political statement. One of your air suspension components has just given up. So that's something you need to look for these cars. With that out of the way, let's talk about the interior, because boy, do we have a lot to go through. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. On the left is my coolant temperature and fuel. In the center, I get a speedometer and a digital readout. And on the right, I have my tachometer. These are electroluminescent gauges from Mercedes, some of the first to do it. And what's interesting is that when you set the cruise control, it only highlights that bar of miles per hour in which you're on. So at night, it looks way cooler than it does in the day, but this is the footage I did get. That's a really cool, nice feature. However, this car has had the gauge cluster swapped out because it stopped working. The late 90s is when Mercedes started using fiber optics. And while they're cool, they were a little rocky at the start. So there are a fair amount of wiring issues that had to be fixed in this car's 170,000 mile life. On the steering wheel, I have selectors for that center gauge screen, which is very nice. However, as you can see, they've been worn over time. And as you can see, some fingernails have done work on these buttons, unfortunately. The overall steering wheel looks and feels nice in my hand, and the steering itself isn't too heavy, but it's also not very light. Off to the left, I have all my light options for fog lights and headlights and things like that, as well as my parking brake release. And moving on to the door, I have my power mirror options, which the button to adjust the power mirrors mimics the shape of the mirror. I think that's really cool. I have my seat options, so not only power seat adjustments, heated seat adjustments, but 3 different levels of memory seats. And this also will electronically move the rear view mirror, depending on where you have it set. And then down below, we do have power windows, child locks, and our trunk release. Moving into the center, I have some climate control vents that are kind of interesting. The left and right just put out the regular climate controls, whatever's set. However, if you want, you can make that upper top larger vent blast cold air no matter how hot you have the climate control set. That's because back in the day, Mercedes products used to come with an open air vent, meaning there was a hole up near the hood, and that would just channel fresh, non-refrigerant, not heated air into the cabin. Well, Mercedes wanted to keep that feature, however, now they've added AC to it. So kind of a nice little heritage Mercedes piece there. Down below those vents, I have a ton of buttons. So I have my traction control on and off, my air suspension button. So this one on the left will lower it by 2 options, or the one next to it on the right will raise the air suspension. Then I have my auto headrest put down button, hazard switch, of course, lock and unlock, tow away security button, and my rear sunshade, which still operates to this day, as you're seeing behind me. That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Moving down below those buttons, I have a very interesting, very rudimentary infotainment system. So we'll pull over and talk about it. All right, so let's talk about this tiny little Mercedes infotainment system. This was pretty revolutionary for 2002, which is really cool to see. But something I want to note right off the bat, that's your tape deck. Isn't that pretty cool? I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. But you use the dial over here. We'll talk about that in a second. And it's very, very rudimentary. But it does come with navigation. So you actually do get a navigation CD. And as you can see, this car was purchased in the Midwest, so it comes with the Midwest CD map. What does that mean? Well, it means that it would only navigate to parts in the Midwest. So like Northern Illinois, Western Indiana, things like that. So you had to get other CDs if you wanted to go to other parts of the country. But if I come over here to sound and go down to other options, there's this really weird graphic. First of all, I could do standard speech or driver optimized, which come up with these funky, weird graphics. But then if I come to ambient area and do small, medium, or large, you could see that the box is getting smaller or bigger depending on your setting, and it actually runs off of the screen. The small one's the only one that actually fits on the screen. So weird. This is very, very strange for 20-year-old infotainment, and unfortunately, we don't actually have a backup camera with this. Off to the right of that, I do have a number pad, which could be operated by a remote from the back seat if you had that option. This car does not. And then I have my selector for that little screen we just talked about. Very, very cool. Down below that, we have climate controls. Of course, dual zone and auto climate controls. But a fun little thing that the S430 does is that if you look here, you see, oh, defroster, rear defroster, that's cool. But then when you turn it off of auto, you can see you have other options for where you want to put the air. That is really, really cool, and something I didn't notice until the owner showed me and I hit the button myself. Then I get the ashtray and the shifter. There are 2 different drive modes, winter and summer drive modes. That is it. Those are the only options you get. Off to the right, it also has an airbag sensor for the passenger seat, so it'll turn off the airbag if it doesn't sense someone there. Again, one of the first cars to have that. Then I get a nice wooden cubby and the actual center console itself. It does have cup holders, which were only installed for the US market, and they are incredibly tiny. So the German domestic market vehicles, they said, don't even bother, but us Yankees, apparently we want cup holders and everything. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test, and of course the Mercedes S430 from 2002 fails the big friggin' bottle test with, what's the reverse of flying colors? Whatever it is, not good. Now we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are nice and comfortable, they are heated, they are power, they are memory, which is all I can really ask for from a vehicle in 2002. However, with that being said, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2002 Mercedes S430, and this is where you want to be in an S-Class. I don't think that's any mystery, but this is where you want to be. First of all, this is my driving position, and I can extend my legs, my head is not hitting the ceiling, It's just amazing in terms of space. Fantastic. Down here, I do have my window switch, and I do have a little push-out ashtray and cigarette lighter. So when you're in the back seat preparing for a big business meeting, you can get a smoke break in as well. Speaking of getting ready for a big meeting, up here, I have reading lights for, I don't know, doing business things. And then I also get a vanity mirror so I can check out my hair, make sure I'm looking good for the big execs. I also do get cup holders and a center console, but I mean, this is just so nice. So nice. This is where you want to be in an S-Class. Something else to note is the doors have soft close. All the doors on the S430 have a pneumatic soft close system. So if you don't close the door all the way, it'll sort of bring them in like I'm showing here, which is super cool. But now let's hop around back and talk about the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the S430, and you might be able to hear it. That is the air pump in the trunk. So once we are in the trunk, tons of space back here. The S430 and S-Classes just in general have tons and tons of space. But like the doors, this trunk also does have soft close. There you go. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of the S430. I think it's so menacing. This is something you don't wanna see outside your building after committing a white-collar crime. If you cooked the books for a company and pocketed the change, and then you look outside your window and you see this, a black S-Class, you should start making some phone calls, because they might be your last. I love this sort of just awesome look to the S430. Well, with all that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts here. Well, first of all, I really want to drive a V12 version now. If anyone has a V12 S-Class from the early 2000s, please let me know. Or if anyone has any V12 powered anything, please email me. But with the 4.3 V8, I love this thing. I really love this car. It's a fantastic car. It's so comfortable. That's the biggest thing, is that everything in here is elegant. Watch this video from the back seat of locking the car. The car locks work off a pneumatic system like the trunk and the air suspension. Watch how elegant even the locks are. That's what you get with this car. And that's what's sort of missing from modern Mercedes S-Classes, is that they just don't quite have the finesse they used to. I'm not saying they don't have finesse at all, but it's different. It's changed. However, maintaining that finesse has not been an easy job. A lot of things are ran in this car pneumatically. You have the soft close features, the trunk, the air suspension, the locks, and that stuff over time fails. And with this car, has failed many times. But the owners are dedicated to keeping this thing on the road. They bought it brand new in late 2001, and well, it's still here today, racking up miles. There's something to be said about that. I think it's a shame because a lot of people write these cars off because of the air suspension, and I won't lie, it's a hefty, pricey fix. But after that, the 4.3 is so great, so stout, so reliable. The 5-speed, yeah, could use an extra gear, but it's not bad. This was luxury back in 2002, and for that, I love it. And just, as much as I hate filming in the rain, look at how good this car looks in the rain. You just can't deny it. It's really fantastic. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Anthony for letting me take out their S430. I mean, such a cool look into something that just has so much technology packed into it from 20 years ago. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.